There was a man so broken he could barely stand, but he didn't just get back up. He became a Navy SEAL, ran 100 miles without training, and redefined the limits of human pain. His name is David Goggins. If you think you're tough, think again. They called him the weakest man in the room, bullied, beaten, obese, and fatherless. David Goggins wasn't born extraordinary. In fact, his story begins in a place darker than most. A child of abuse, a mind full of fear, a body full of pain. Growing up in Buffalo, New York, Goggins was raised by a father who terrorized his family, a man who beat David, his brother, and his mother until they ran away into the cold with nothing but fear in their hearts and trauma in their bones. David stuttered. He could barely read. He was the only black kid in an all-white school, and every single day he was reminded of how different he was. Racism, isolation, loneliness. He wasn't just an outsider. He was invisible. His teachers told him he was stupid. His classmates called him fat and eventually he believed him. But this isn't a story about staying broken. It's about what happens when you decide to never be a victim again. Goggins hit rock bottom in his early 20s. He was working as spraying cockroaches in restaurants for $1,000 a month, weighed 300 pounds, ate donuts every night, watched TV all day. He was dying slowly, physically, mentally, spiritually. And then, one night, something snapped. It wasn't a Hollywood moment. It was quiet, lonely, brutal. He looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the man staring back. I saw a loser, a man who lied to himself every day, a man who took the easy path because it was comfortable. And that scared me more than anything. That night, David made a decision, not a promise, not a goal, a decision. He wasn't going to be that man anymore. And from that moment, his war began not with the world, but with himself. David had one dream, to become a Navy SEAL. But there was a problem. Actually, there were several. First, he weighed 297 pounds. The maximum weight to qualify for SEAL training, 191. Second, he had just 3 months to lose over 100 pounds. Third, he had failed the ASVAB military test multiple times. Most people would have laughed at the idea. Some did, but David didn't care. He stopped listening to the world and started listening to pain. He began waking up at 4 a.m., running 5 miles, swimming 4 hours, studying till his eyes bled. Every single day, hey, pushed harder. But here's the brutal truth. He failed. Again and again, and again, and again. His body broke. His spirit cracked. But each time, he got back up because the only way he was going to die was if he quit. He ran until his legs bled, studied until his mind burned. He taped his shins when they splintered. He duct taped his feet to run on broken bones. He passed the test. He lost the weight. And finally, he made it into SEAL training. But that was just the beginning. Hell Week is the most brutal military training in the world. 5 days. No sleep, freezing ocean, relentless pain. Out of 100 men, maybe 10 survived. Goggins didn't just survive once, he survived 3 times. First time, his kneecap shattered. Second time, pneumonia nearly killed him. Third time, he passed, but not because he was the strongest, because he refused to give up. He crawled, he puked, he bled, but he didn't quit. Because by then, David had learned a secret. Pain unlocks power. Most people train their body. Goggins trains his mind. He calls it callousing the mind. Every time he didn't want to wake up at 4 a.m., he did. Every time he didn't want to run in the freezing rain, he did. Every time his mind screamed, quit, he yelled louder, try harder, because pain is the only path to power. He began to see pain, not as punishment, but as the doorway to greatness. And once you walk through that door, you're no longer controlled by fear. you're free. In 2005, Goggins signed up for the San Diego one day, a 100-mile race around a 1-mile track. But here's the twist. He had never run more than a mile in years. He had no training, no preparation. He just showed up. The first 70 miles were agony, but the last 30, hell, his feet were broken. His shins were shattered. He had kidney failure, blood in his urine. His body was shut down. Most people would have died. David didn't finish the race, crawling, bleeding, crying, but victorious. Because what he proved that day was more than physical. He proved that when the body wants to quit at 40%, the mind can push the other 60%. That's the Goggins rule. This rule changed everything. When you think you're done, you're only at 40% of your capacity. Your body is a liar. Your mind is weak, but your spirit is limitless. Goggins has tested this rule across over 60 ultramarathons, 4,000 plus pull-ups in 24 hours, and brutal workouts daily for over 20 years. But it's not about showing up. It's about reminding himself and the world what's possible. Let's be real. We all have that voice inside. I'm tired. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. Goggins hears it too. But here's the difference. Most people listen to that voice. He fights it. He gives it a name. The weak voice. And every day, he battles it. You don't become mentally tough by reading quotes. You become mentally tough by facing yourself, your fears, your lies, your excuses, and beating them into silence. David Goggins became a Navy SEAL, an Army Ranger, and an Air Force Tactical Air Controller. All 3 elite forces. He became one of the fittest men alive. But his greatest accomplishment, he became the man. He promised himself he'd be, in his words, be uncommon among the uncommon. It's easy to stand out when no one else is trying. But can you rise when everyone is elite? When the best of the best are falling, can you still stand? Goggins didn't just rise, he soared. David doesn't believe in motivation. He believes in discipline, in suffering, in showing up because that's where real growth lives. You want to change your life? Stop waiting for permission. Get up, move. Face your demons. Own your pain. Because no one's coming to save you. Not your boss. Not your parents. Not your friends. You are your own rescue mission. This isn't just a story about Goggins. This is about you. What are you running from? What lie are you telling yourself? What excuse are you hiding behind? Right now, you have 2 options. Stay where you are comfortable, safe, ordinary, or become someone you don't even recognize. A beast forged in fire, carved in pain, armed with unbreakable will. Goggins didn't have a special gift. He wasn't chosen. He was broken. But he built himself. And so can you. Pain is your friend. Discipline is your weapon. And suffering. That's your birthplace. You want to be the toughest version of yourself? Then earn it. Plead for it. Rise for it. And when the world says you can't, you smile in. Whisper back. Watch me.